I know the excitement about finishing a degree, particularly maybe a master's degree. This was my second one. And I thought finishing it would feel like a lot of progress because I had been waiting to re-establish my career. Military life has done me one, two, three things. I'm finally doing something project management, portable, flexible. I'm finally going to make it. I'm finally going to get a job that I can do and have it, around my schedule, my kids, my family, everything. But it didn't feel like anything. No, it did not. And that's when I knew something was really, really wrong. Hi, my name is Lydia. On this channel, I share real stories about transition because change is what happens around us constantly, but transition is what happens within us as that change happens. And sometimes you don't realize how much you've been building until it finally breaks. By this point, my dear people, I had been carrying a lot for a long time. Motherhood. 2 children by the time I was graduating with my second master's degree. I didn't have any consistent support, actually no support at all. There's constant instability. I had moved about 3 times. Lost my career. Had identity shifts. I had moved from being a lawyer into full-time mother, into now being a student, then into being a project manager. There was just a lot, but I had not processed any of it. I will repeat, I had not processed any of it. So I finished my master's degree, and instead of feeling proud, I felt empty. Like that didn't even mean anything. I had immersed myself for 2 full years because I was a full-time student and felt empty. I didn't feel accomplished. I didn't feel like that thing meant anything, and that bothered me right there. That moment forced me to stop because I couldn't ignore it anymore. I was not okay. I had not been okay for a long, long time. And at this stage, this is what happens. You almost lose your sense of reality. And for me, my thoughts started to change. I started having thoughts that scared me. I had suicidal thoughts. The combination of the many feelings and emotions I felt, it was too much of a cocktail that I didn't understand myself anymore. I slowly felt myself going down this dark path. The imagery I had in my brain, or that I can describe about it, is just living in a beautiful house with a very large, dark basement. And I started going down the stairs of this basement. And this basement, every step you took, the previous step disappeared. It meant the lower you went, the lesser your chances of getting out, or really, really completely erased the chances of you getting out. So I saw myself slowly getting down into that basement, and it was pitch dark, and it didn't seem like there was anything in that basement, and I was alone, and it was during the day. That's the weird thing. I had these thoughts almost on a daily basis, consistently for almost a month. I looked at my children. By this point, my oldest was 1 year and the youngest was 3 months. Was it? Or 1 year, 1 year and 1 month, because they're 13 months apart. 13 or 14, I think 14 months. I looked at my kids and there was no sense of excitement or fulfillment like I used to. And I felt sorry for them for not being the mother they deserved. And when it came to my husband and my family, I just looked like the loser, the person that made everything worse, the person that needed a lot but contributed nothing. And that contribution to me felt like emotional support, it felt like financial contribution, it felt like someone alive, someone worth being with. I felt like I was a complete waste of a human being. I knew in my head I didn't want to die. But I also knew that I didn't want to keep feeling the way I was feeling. And I didn't know it then, but it was the point where everything shifted. That was now from coping and everything that was shifting into full-blown collapse. You know, when you carry too much for too long, which is what I did, your system really doesn't ask politely for rest anymore. It just forces you to stop. At some point, you just motionless. That's the word I can come up with for what I felt. I couldn't keep pretending I was fine, because every day I felt like I was getting down into that basement and the stairs behind me disappearing. I couldn't pretend anymore. I couldn't keep functioning the same way. I couldn't keep ignoring what was happening inside me. And for the first time, I knew I had to do something. I had to leave. I had to leave this place that I gave me hope in the first place, but didn't recognize who I was. The systems that I was used to that made me function were not there. The support system, the family, the closeness didn't come. The community I'm used to at this point is gone. I needed to leave. I recognized that it was my environment that was causing me to be this way. The pressure of having two kids without support and feeling guilty for even wanting childcare and paying for it exorbitantly, and all that was just crazy. I needed space. I needed support. I needed to feel like myself again. So that's when I made the decision. And this didn't come easy because I decided to go back to Kenya. At that moment, it didn't feel like strength at all. If anything, it felt like failure. Because remember, go back to some of the episodes we've done about the expectations and everything. Everyone, being happy, you're going, or the land of milk and honey, you're going to be okay. Your life is going to expand. But instead, if you saw that some episodes, my life shrunk. It took a lot from me to say, okay, I'm going back to Kenya. Because that would be interpreted, and I actually interpreted it myself, as failure. But to save myself, I had rather failed than not to be alive, particularly for my family. And I'm happy I took the failure route. I'm happy I took the feeling of failure. Because looking back now, that decision did not break me. It is what saved me. I know, maybe you might not relate, but if you're an immigrant and you felt certain ways, if you've been pushed to your limits, if your expectations haven't been met, if you really don't have language and you haven't processed a lot of things, you might relate, and I hope you do at some point. Now I'm happy because going back was not the end of my story. It wasn't. It was the beginning of something very important, the beginning of understanding what had been happening to me all along. Because I finally got to see a therapist, even though I'd never even mentioned that word. I don't think I ever mentioned that word in my life, ever. Therapist. Someone, like, what is that? It's not something that people talk about. I didn't grow up with people talking about therapy or, seeing anxiety, depression. Those are not things I heard. Those are not things I was, used to. But I'm so glad that I took that step to go back and learning and understanding what I had been going through all along. Listen, and listen good. The transitions we don't name, they eventually demand to be felt. You feel them in ways you cannot ignore. And sometimes it's too late. I feel like mine was too late. If only I caught myself in some moments at the beginning. If only I had good support when I was transitioning. If only every step of the way there was a process for me to learn what I was actually going through and getting some tools and support to go through them, things would have been different. But anyway, we are here today and I'm telling the story, and I'm hoping it helps someone catch themselves. Now, if you've ever reached a point where you knew you couldn't keep going the same way, I want to hear about it. You don't have to, though. Just be nice to share, because the more we share, the more we take away the power of these things that seemed to have broken us. If this resonates, stay with me. Come back tomorrow. We are sharing it one step at a time. And the next season of this story is where I finally found the words. I finally found the words for what I was going through. Finally got the support. Finally was safe. Subscribe, like, share, and come back tomorrow. This is actually the final episode of season 5. We'll be moving to season 6, and I hope season 6 becomes a little bit of light, not the dump one that season 5 has been, of the collapse. End of collapse, beginning of hope. So see you in season 6. Take care.